Small delay to the second practice session for MotoGP here for 2023's Valencia Grand Prix. Good afternoon, welcome to you. The session should have been underway now, but we understand a red flag in the Moto2 session has delayed things once again. We're just seeing Pecco Bagnaia, who this morning was 13th the fastest, got all the work to do in this session as well. We also saw her Martin getting into there as in 8th position. So the two championship protagonists are right up there. The championship battle is on. And considering that we don't know, now look, it's all switched over. So we need to do a bit of editing on that. Megan, I did tell Megan to leave on the graphics so we could do some tidying up editing wise. Because we're on our different combox, aren't we, this weekend? So let's see if we can get it just a little bit nicer looking. There we go. On the board, but it is ready for Q2 running order, which means getting our session, a 60-minute run. Megan will be taking you through the last 20 minutes alongside Omi as well. I'll be here for, well, I hope some of this session at least, when the green light goes on. TNT has just gone to an ad break, so we'll take this opportunity to take a look at the World Championship standings coming into this one as well, because it is quite a big one. Bagnaia leading the running order, of course. Here is the world standings now coming up on your screen. Bagnaia leads 437 points. He's got a 21-point advantage to Jorge Martin. All he needs is 4 points in tomorrow's sprint race, and he is world champion. Regardless of what Martin does on the Sunday, Bagnaia has more victories in 2023 than Martin, so a 25-point gap or better would change it. Marco Bezzecchi is secured himself in 3rd position. Brad Binder, it's only 6 points between him and Johan Zarco. No, sorry, Binder's secured himself in 4th. Zarco versus Elias Espargaro, 5th and 6th. That's the battle you're looking at. 6 points between them. Luca Marini throwing himself in as well with Vinales. And look at Quartararo. Only a victory and no points for Vinales can make him better than 8th. The champion as well from 2021. Really struggling on that Yamaha. Look further down though. Marc Marquez. He's 14th as well. He's in a battle with Franco Morbidelli on the Yamaha as well. Don't forget Morbidelli next year moving to the LCR Honda team. Marc leaving Repsol Honda, which is the family of LCR and HRC. He's going over to the Grenesci bike. Fabio Di Giannantonio is in 12th with victory last time out, and he cannot do anything unless he wins both the sprint and the feature to get ahead of Jack Miller. Alex Marquez, though, top Grenesci, he's 10th fastest as well in the running orders. So it's a simple run as to what we're going to see here as well. But I'll tell you what, while we've got this little bit of time, we're trying to show you, but the laptop's crashing. Let's show you the weather out there at the moment at Valencia, because if it's going to load up. There it is. Track temperature at 24, sorry, track temperature 25 degrees, air temperature 24, 21% humidity. No wind as well, which is really unusual for this time of year here at the circuit. It usually has quite a high chance of it coming through. And a blustery circuit, but they've seemed to keep it up. They've seemed to keep the initiative running as we wait for the session to get underway around this 2.49 circuit mile. It's just really tiny circuit, this one. Just all waiting. Now the session should get underway in a minute's time, unless they've just had to delay it. How long that red flag was out in Moto2. We weren't watching. We were covering the MotoGP as well, but it's hashtag Pecco versus Martin in the championship. We're gearing up for when that green light should go on. So 2 p.m. when the sessions have started. Yomi has been ruled out of Friday's second practice, but it's not yet weekend over for him as he undergoes checks for tomorrow's FP2. So Mia in the other LCR Honda will not be taking part in this session. Now we're going to swap back to the main combox in a few moments' time. So while we wait for the session to get going, we're going to hand over as well to TNT Sports.
Not too much damage. It looked a little bit. It looked very much in pain actually in the gravel trap. So hopefully Johan can be back tomorrow.
And in helmet, giving thanks for the years of himself with Repsol Honda and all these fans as well. Giving thanks. It is an iconic part of Spanish sporting lore, isn't it? The Repsol Honda team. It's where their first world champion in Alex Crivier came through it. One of the darlings in Dani Pedrosa, one of the darlings of Spanish sport, and then obviously Marc Marquez. You know, it's a massive part of Spanish sport.
whenever you think of arriving any Spanish airport, over the years there's always been a Repsol, some kind of marketing material, and it's always promoting the sport, promoting the Spanish star, which has been Marc Marquez since, well, the last 10 years really. And it's going to be a massive shift. Obviously we have Joan Mir, a Spanish rider, retained by Repsol Honda, but his tenure there so far has been, well, shocking in a lot of ways. We've seen some speed, but the crashes, which are completely out of the ordinary for Joan Mir, obviously the crash earlier today means no part in this afternoon's proceedings, but losing their champion in Marc, and it seems like it's fairly amicable between both parties. Never say never that he won't return in the future. A year at Ducati, learn a little bit, maybe the Honda during that period will step up their package and he could return, and it's, yeah, not beyond the realms of possibility, but quite unlikely now that he's heading off to pastures new. But yeah, it will be a huge change inside the Repsol Honda garage not to have Marc there.
Of course, Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin doing their battle here. Pecco can be crowned champion on Saturday if he were to score 4 points more than Jorge Martin. He would be crowned on Saturday, and that would be the best, wouldn't it, for Bagnaia and for the tensions inside the Ducati camp, of course. Looks like Agostini's nailed his colours to the Pramac side of the Ducati divide.
Giacomo, what a legend. But he quite outspoken over the years, and obviously he won't be scared if he's a Martin fan. He'll let us know this weekend. Hopefully we'll get a word or two with him on the grid. Susie always enjoys a chat with Giacomo.
Yeah, we all love to hear from Giacomo, still an absolute legend. As we ride on board with Jorge Martin down towards turn 1. It's been on pole position here for the last 2 years, and Sylvain, it's an easier position to be in for Jorge Martin compared to Pecco Bagnaia, because Jorge really does have nothing to lose.
Well, he's got to beat Pecco. He's got to outscore him by 22 points, and yeah, he's got nothing to lose. We know in this situation, with this approach to the racing, we know that Jorge Martin is supremely fast. I mean, it's gone off a little bit, you know, in Sepang and in Qatar. That's when he effectively got close at the championship with Pecco Bagnaia. So the pressure get to him a little bit, the tyre pressures, maybe a bit of an issue in Qatar for the GP. Things haven't clicked, but right now he's basically completely free. He can have a go. Nobody will blame him for it. And he looks like from the FP1 this morning he's quite happy to do so. He was really quick this morning. We saw the attitude as well, you know, on the bike. Somebody that was really enjoying himself on the bike, really lively, and yeah, he's going to put up a fight.
A return to the red helmet for Pecco Bagnaia. I liked the white one last week in Qatar. It looked well under the lights, obviously, but he had a good weekend with the white helmet. I would stay with the change and not switch back. But obviously the red has been his go-to throughout the season.
Jorge Martin's gone with that hard front tyre. No one touched that earlier today. It was all soft and mediums with the cooler temperatures. Temperatures now in the mid-20s. And so they're risking it. But turn 4 will something still to keep an eye on.
Indeed, we saw in Moto 3 earlier, not too many crashes in the morning, but when the temperature came up in the afternoon, the riders started to relax a little bit in there, try and push the boundaries, and it was catching them out. So the difference here in MotoGP is the asymmetric tyres. In Moto 3 you do not have the option of having a softer right side, so Michelin do provide front and rear with a softer right compound, so the grip should be reasonably even, but they will still lose some degrees in temperature, so they generate more overall temperature in the tyre because of all the downforce, and obviously managing the temperature in the front of the tyre is a bigger issue in MotoGP, so they won't have as many issues as the little bikes.
Fastest lap of the weekend so far, and it was Fabio Di Giannantonio's second flyer out on the racetrack, a 1:30.0, so a tenth quicker than Johann Zarco went earlier. The lap record, all-time lap record, pole position in 2016, Jorge Lorenzo on the Yamaha, a 1:29.4.
That was some lap time, and that's why it's stuck for so long. You get the feeling though that this weekend that's going to go. And the new surface looks like it's offering a lot of grip. It's activating that hard front tyre really quickly. Di Giannantonio with a lot of confidence there in his first flying. Oh, there's a big crash there.
Someone's down in turn 1.
Is that Aprilia?
Yeah. It looks like it, yeah. Is it? I can't see it again.
And the bike is
it's in the switchback, yeah. I think that might actually be, it says, I think it's turn 8 that. I think that's actually in turn 8 rather than it's saying in 9 and 10, but I think, yeah, turn 8 for Bezzecchi. Well, already at the start of the session.
yeah, that's turn 8. Same place as. And there's a bit of a. We saw that this morning already with Joan Mir's crash and Nakagami's crash. There is a bit of a difference of level with the gravel, and so the bike and the rider gets flicked up like that. It's a high-speed crash there. Yeah.
Yeah, the airbags inflated, obviously.
Spring. See, that's the issue you get when the gravel is a bit higher than the tarmac. You get that, so that will launch the rider and the bike in the air, and then you start tumbling like that.
Well, fair play to the
Massive
camera operator
crash.
in that as well for sticking with him on such a tight zoom as that one. Seriously impressive, but horrible, horrible to witness. And another one now, looks like the final corner for Augusto Fernandez, where it tightens up. So in the space of, what? How long have we had in this session? 7 minutes.
Number of problems out there on the circuit right now in terms of red flags and everything going wrong. It's all going crazy out there at the moment. Welcome back, as we've had Luca Marini, we've had Marco Bezzecchi, we've had Aleix Espargaro, and now we've had going down Augusto Fernandez, all at the same part of the track. It's absolutely insane. We're back up in the main com box now for this one. And it's Di Giannantonio on top from Alex Marquez in second, Martin third, Ralph Fernandez fourth, Nakagami fifth, Bagnaia in sixth position as well. And yeah, so we've swapped back over from one comms box to the other. But Omi's with us in the pit lane. Just a quick reaction from you there, mate. What a horrible couple of crashes we've had.
Yeah, we've been having quite a few while we've been getting all of this sorted. So quite a few crashes here and there, and yeah, it seems like it's a tiny bit chaotic.
Another one's gone down. Sector 1 has now got a yellow flag, and it's Alex Rins. Rins has only just come back from injury, and now he's gone down to the first corner. So 4 crashes already. Now, is this going to be a front dipper for Alex? Trail breaks in, turns in, front dips right on entry, and that's going to be 1 ticket out, I'm afraid. Straight off into Kitty Litter. So already bad news. He's going to walk away gingerly. They've got second bikes, so they can all go in, hop back on the other, but it's getting worse out there. Omi and Megan will be back later on in the session. I'll still be around for the 20 minutes, but for right now, we're going to hand over to that of TNT Sports.
Down to, what would you say, 70, 80 perhaps?
It's quite a fast roll through the middle of the apex there. You're pretty much getting it squared up and back on the throttle. So yeah, you'd be rolling through there at least 80 miles an hour at the apex.
Oh, it's going to get tight, isn't it, with Paul Espargaro?
Won't be any room on the outside there, but yeah, he's going to do the cut back.
Of course, Paul Espargaro, an emotional last Grand Prix for him. Also this weekend, will it be his last ever? I don't think so. There's talk of wild cards, there's talk of being a replacement rider, which, Sylvain, you've done a lot of the investigation on this in terms of riders missing. We haven't had a full grid at any point this weekend of permanent riders, so you feel like Paul Espargaro, however much it's horrible to say it, will probably get chances next year.
Well, if you go by the statistics, yes. Yeah, unfortunately this year the riders have been missing a lot more races than the average of the last 3 years. So yeah, we're seeing a largely increased number. We're going to get, so after Valencia, we're going to be at more than 50 races missed by permanent riders in total. So that's Sunday races. Alex Barros is in the house.
Oh, wow. He looks in good nick. There's Alex, former MotoGP race winner, of course. So many successes over a very long Premier Class career. Rode with the best over his time. Alex Barros straddled the era, didn't he? From your right at the end of Rainey and then on to Doohan, all the way through to Valentino Rossi.
He was brave on the braking.
He was,
the braking markers.
He was the
Yeah,
latest of the late.
very, very hard to overtake Alex Barros on the brakes, and has offered us some great races over the years he's been there.
Still racing.
He won
Brazil,
he won
into
a
his 50s.
Brazilian championship,
Yeah,
I think, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he was battling with
Superbike, yeah.
Eric Granado in some videos I've seen a few years ago around Interlagos, I think it was, and still fast.
Still got it.
But again, we never really knew his age because he lied when he first came into the championship.
One
didn't
who does that.
Yeah, he was a real stalwart of the category. I remember him coming in as a youngster.
Did he only have 1 year at Repsol Honda?
Yeah, I think
It
so.
wasn't a long stint for him. But yeah, like you say, he was across so many. Well, one of the fastest 500 riders at the end of the 500 year. I remember him battling with the 4 strokes around the Athens circuit, was it? I'm trying to remember exactly.
2002.
Was it?
Yeah.
Were you in that race?
No, 2002. So 2002 was the hybrid race, basically, where there was the 500 and the
Yeah,
4-stroke
he
together.
stepped onto the 4-stroke at the end of the year and won 2 races.
That's it.
Beat Valentino Rossi at the
Yeah, in
end of that year.
Motegi.
Yeah.
Remember that race in Motegi? That was good. Only did 1 race that year with the 2-stroke, actually.
With the 500, wasn't it? Yamaha.
Yeah, in Brno.
Was that when you were test riding for Tech 12?
That's
you
right.
were, at the time, though, something that Pole Espargaro is going to be again. You were retained by Hervé and Tech 3 to be there, to be available, basically, but as a sort of, not as a test rider as such, but there as a third rider of the team.
Yes, well, it was for different purposes. I mean, at the time, it was very unlikely to have to replace the riders. But yeah, it was for us. It was more a way of starting to work together, because at that time I wanted to join forces with Tech 3, and Hervé wanted to start building something. So in the end, we only did 1 year together because I wanted to come back to racing the year after. I just missed the racing, but we ended up working. Tech 3 and Hervé gave me my first opportunity to be a full season in MotoGP in 2007. So all paths crossed again. So yeah, it was all worth it in the end.
Are we going to see Fabio Di Giannantonio on the grid in MotoGP next year?
I hope so. I mean, the boy deserves it. You see the end of season he's doing incredible, great. And we didn't see it coming as well. Made it click, made it work with Frankie Coquet, his crew chief, found the right setup, and Frankie was able to give him, the platform so Fabio can express himself on that bike, and he's been so good since India. Really made a massive inroads. Wow, that's a massive
Huge,
crash,
isn't it,
Bezzecchi.
for Bezzecchi?
Yeah.
The question
they need
is,
to level that.
when you look at the field in MotoGP and you look at all the riders, who doesn't deserve to be in MotoGP at the moment?
It's a tough question as well, because
really hard.
Some have been, strong at the start and then a little bit off the boil. I mean, you look at Aleix Espargaro now, Grand Prix winner this year. He is sitting in 19th.
A lot of crashes since we did the double in Barcelona. Crashed both in India, he's crashed in the sprint in Japan. There were bike problems in Indonesia. Lots of crashes, were 5 in a weekend, weren't there? Where was that one? In Malaysia? Yeah, and then no scores in both of the races in Qatar.
Yeah, it's a tough season for these guys, and it's hard to stay as well with the length of the season, the demands that are, on the riders with that extra sprint on the Saturday. It's hard for them to stay consistent, and it just shows, for Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin. They've been performing all year long. They've been there all the time. It's a very, this year has been, I think everybody's been under a lot of strain. We've talked about the injuries, but the calendar, the added sprint as well for the riders to manage this is not easy. So, you know, the long-term approach, just like Pecco has been doing, is he's proving is the correct way to do it.
See down in pit lane, people with scarves on and big coats out of the sun. There is a bit of an edge to the temperature, and that's why you just got to be ever so careful until you get your tyres into the working window. As this session has started, Di Giannantonio from Fabio Quartararo, who again looks like Yamaha in recent rounds, Michael, have made a decent step forward.
Indeed, and it's good to see that without the engine freeze coming to an end, they found top speed, obviously through their lowering device and aero package. And Fabio's found race trim rhythm over distance, not there in the sprint, getting better starts, but over the half race distance, he's lacking that outright pace. As he is on one lap, the time attack's gone away from Yamaha. Fabio is a good one lap time attack specialist and has so many poles to his name, but at the moment it's a struggle to get the Yamaha in the first 2 rows of the grid. So there's some development to be done over the winter. The chase for horsepower seems to be on the back burner a little bit now. It's more chasing the rideability, first touch, bringing back the smooth power delivery.
We've got 4 wings for the first time.
It's good to see Yamaha staying up to speed in the aero race. So yeah, obviously Cal Crutchlow's here this weekend. He will be on track on Tuesday with the test team, getting any new parts out on track, and hopefully some steps forward for Fabio.
Yeah, Fabio still keeps insisting it's power, need more power. I've never heard a rider say they want less power, but Cal Crutchlow more insistent that it's power to ground. That's what actually is the conundrum, and that could be. Saw the ride height device, they look to have improved that. If they can marry up that with some aero, it might not be. Will they lose much of their turning? You know, it always was some of their strength, but you know, it might not be all down to the power issue. So
well, you do want some power, and that's for the top end, as in like 4th, 5th and 6th gear, because top power means that you can run heavier aero because the bike will push through. It means that during the races you can attack or be in a position to attack other riders, line them up on the braking zones, and also you're in a better position to defend. If you don't have the horsepower, somebody with similar pace can come up behind, line you up, and there's basically nothing you can do. So yes, the top end power is really important, but as you said, Gav, the efficiency of the bike with the aero, with the ride height device, is massively important, because even though the Yamaha, for example, is down on top power, they still have on the first gear, so first, second and third, they still have to take a lot of power away from the rider, because effectively the bike is not efficient enough to put the power down, and that's true for all the bikes. So even for the Yamaha, the slowest bike. So it's about finding that efficiency, and if you can, use a little bit more power in that first, second and third gear, which is the job that can be improved with the ride height device, with the wings, the fork wings that we've just seen appearing then on the Yamaha. Then that means that you're going to gain maybe 1-2 k an hour in the acceleration zone, and you're going to carry that for all the straights. So yeah, it's a mix of everything, but top end power, if you can have it and it can be available for the top gears, is always a good tool, especially in a racing configuration.
On board with Pecco Bagnaia on the back straight.
Same there, short shifting in the straight. They've got that much power. When they lean the bike in 4th gear, the bike is spinning, so he's putting 5th air just to basically settle it down before braking.
Reading between the lines, we were talking about concessions, the possibility of a return, a tweak in the way concessions are handed out. Sounds like that's some of those are being knocked back. KTM, not, you know, they feel like, you know, Honda have had podiums this year perhaps, and they don't need a leg up, they just need to direct funds in the right way. Spent too much on riders, was a quote I heard from Pit Byro to Speed Week this week. Maybe it should not spend so much on riders and put it all in their bike and things like that. But it sounds like we'd have had to know about concessions almost now, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Before this weekend, if there were going to be any tweaks to the rules there.
I think it has to happen this weekend before the first test, and let the factories roll into the winter with a plan in place. I do think that there'll be something, whether it's the first proposal of more tyres for the concessions teams, taking Ducati's advantage away, making them stop testing as much. But I do like the idea of the Yamaha and Honda being able to develop their engine throughout the season. So if they do get extra engines and being able to crack those open and do some development work mid-season would be a nice one. But yeah, whether KTM, Ducati, whether they'll beat it.
Once again, we come back to that that rule system where basically no technical regulation can be changed unless all the manufacturers agree. So in that respect, in that place, if one of the manufacturers disagree with it, they can basically block it.
Absolutely, but there's two ways that works, aren't there? Because you want to keep the manufacturers happy, you want to keep them interested, and KTM feel like they've invested whatever they've invested, you know, up to 100 million in getting themselves up to where they are now, and they'll think, hang about, we don't want all that work to be in vain. There are concessions rules already in place, and that's if you don't have the podiums, you don't have the results, and yet they've still had the odd podium. Mark Marquez had a podium, Alex Rins has won a race, there's been a couple of sprint podiums here and there. So that, I suppose from that point of view, I do understand that as well, because there are concessions rules in place when things are completely awry. Obviously, you know, when the concessions rules were put in, maybe they didn't envisage having 8 Ducatis or 8 of any bike, you know, out the front, but this is a business, really. It's customer sport, and people are wanting to choose a Ducati.
Yeah, interesting the comment from Tip, because Mark made a similar comment that now they can take his salary and put it into the bike development. So obviously that's slightly jagged from Pit Buyer, but obviously you understand the point of view there that KTM have had to go through the hard yards in a short period, whereas Honda have had the results for years, the success, and they're in a short period of strife at the moment. Ducati had to go through the benefits of the concessions and the open class electronics initially with the likes of Iannone to go through the hard yards to get to where they're at now.
Oh, look at Digi. Digi's looking mighty strong here. Cross the line. He's going to go even faster in his own time. Fingers crossed, eh? Digi goes a tenth faster. 1:29.805. Magnificent job for the man who's currently lined up to join the VR46 squad in place of Luca Marini next year. So it's Digi on top, Marini second, Marc Marquez second.
You can't do nothing wrong.
Imagine this, you know, 3 months ago. And 3 months ago, obviously, it was before the second half of the season, pretty much. But who'd imagine we'd be here, where he's won a race and he's 3/10 quicker than the rest of the field here?
No way. Nobody would have predicted that. Maybe Frankie Cocchelli, seeing the potential, but you would have to be that close inside the team to kind of like have an idea. I mean, we thought Fabio Di Giannantonio was not going to make it happen in MotoGP. He's had a year and a half, and it was just not showing what you'd expect to see, and then suddenly they found a setup and make it work. Just shows you that sometimes it's worth giving these lads just a little bit of extra time just to understand the category better, and he's so tight. Just look at him now, he just looks so much better on the bike.
Consistency is key here, and that's what he's got.
Another lap on the pace again.
Yeah.
Time is something that is so crucial to sport, whether it be a lap times, but time on a bike, and you don't always get afforded it because it's a results-based business.
Yeah, the problem is Fabio had a reasonable pre-season test and then had a big crash and a bit of a tough period, and we know the deals are done so early in MotoGP, so his name was right down the bottom of the shopping list, and now he's turned it around and he's just absolutely smoking it. So yeah, I think he may have done enough in the time period to actually rescue his career. I really hope so.
He deserves it. From what he's done since India, he 100% deserves it. And actually, it will be, looking at him again this weekend so far, you know, for VR46, he'll be a great signing.
Be an asset.
Yeah,
a real
100%.
asset to them. And it'll be, you know, Fermin Aldeguer was the talk. It looks like his contract is not going to be bought out, that he has currently with the Speed Up team in Moto2. Fabio Di Giannantonio will be cheaper than the buyout, you know,
Yeah.
and in terms of a salary, whereas with Fermin Aldeguer, you probably have to pay his buyout and give him a little bit of a salary too to come across.
Do we know what the buyout was in the
The
Voscoscuro?
talk is, Luca Voscoscuro said it, about €1 million
€1 million.
for MotoGP.
Which obviously the VR46 team,
I heard a lot less than that, but
400,000
Yeah,
to a
that's what I
Moto2 team.
oh, okay,
Oh, right.
And
Right,
there's something like a MotoGP release clause, effectively.
and yeah,
well, 1 minute. That's just too much
yeah.
money. It just wouldn't happen. it'd be better to wait, have another year, and
Keep
start
going,
actually because the contracts are going to be signed really early on for 2025, 2026. Basically, everybody's going to be on 2-year deals, or most of the riders there. So those deals are being made now. They've been talked about now, and they will be made early on next year. For the factory boys, anyway.
Brad Binder, one of those who doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, he's got his extension already.
You do wonder about Brad Binder, and obviously so firmly tied to KTM, the brand. He's been with them for a long, long time now. But wouldn't we all like to see him on a different bike? Would you like to see Brad Binder on a Ducati, or are you happy to see him make the progress with KTM?
I want the story to go the full circle, that he's had success through the Red Bull Rookies Cup all the way through Moto3, Moto2, now MotoGP. He's their lead man. They find a little bit more to get on level pegging with Ducati at every circuit, and Brad's got a championship in him within the next couple of years. So I want the whole story to go right the way to the line.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I'd love to see that. But there's a part of me also that I'd like to see him
Fast track
for that championship.
Yeah, jump on a Ducati and do what Marc Marquez is going to do next year, just get involved.
Marc Marquez is second fastest here at this point of the weekend. Always
unreal.
Yeah, been all right around here as Marc Marquez. But we were talking about it on the way in the car. There's a feeling that Marc Marquez will want to go out on a high. That Honda.
Yeah, well, it seems like I mean, he actually has been for the bike. He's been excelling, the last few races without making too many mistakes as well. He's been taking the most out of it, and it looks like he's on a mission to be as competitive as possible, as much as the bike will let him, without going over the limit. And that is a good strategy to have, as soon as he's going to jump on that Ducati, I think that's what he's thinking. He's thinking, I need to be on it. I can't just wait for that Ducati ride to arrive. I'm going I'm going to do as much as I could. I'm going to push as much as I can without making the mistakes, without hurting myself. And then as soon as I jump on that Ducati, that will be straight. I will be straight away on the pace, which I think it will be. Hey, Brad Binder this weekend, big threat for the race win. I mean, last year he had a fantastic race here.
Yeah, behind Alex Rins in the end, it's a tough place to pass. He was closing him quick at the end, and we know he probably won't hesitate to try and make a pass. We've said it about Brad Binder, though, on a number of occasions this year, that the win is possible, and it hasn't happened yet in a Grand Prix this season.
Should be a good track for KTM as well, because they perform well. Brad and KTM performed that well last year. We know that the KTM this year, with the aero package and the radar device that they've got now, they've made good inroads. This is a small track where efficiency is important, so on paper you'd think the KTM would be a really good weapon to have this weekend, and Brad should be competitive.
Aleix Espargaro goes 17th, 0.7 off. It's so ridiculously tight. And it's actually only 0.5 to Brad Binder, because Fabio Di Giannantonio is a quarter of a second quicker than anybody else. He's the only rider consistently lapping in the 29s, as Jack Miller goes down to a 1:30.2. The race pace here is going to be nearly a second quicker than any time in the past.
It's almost a carbon copy of 1 week ago in Qatar. The race pace was roughly about a second quicker. So, yeah, the new asphalt does provide good constant grip, and it does seem right from the first practice this morning that the track's it's pretty well rubbered in. It's clean. Obviously, Junior GP were here 3 weeks ago, so it's been used recently by Dunlop Rubber, and it looks like it's working well.
Okay, so for those who are going to join us throughout the rest of the weekend, lads, what do you see happening? What's your crystal ball telling you of how this weekend is going to develop?
Well, I see Martin on the attack. I see him, winning the sprint or taking massive risks to do so. And I see Pecco managing the gap to him. I think Pecco is in a really strong position here, 21 points in the championship. So he's just got to mirror what he's doing. He's got to shadow Martin. But I see a lot of potential outsiders. You've got DG that's been so good lately, coming off his win in Qatar and, well, clearly looking very strong here on the soft and the medium rear tyre. You've got Binder, so good last year with his KTM around here, nearly won the race, and a big threat for the race. You've got Marc Marquez wanting to finish on a high. You've got Quartararo on the Yamaha with the improvements they made with the ride-eye device, with those new fork wings as well to create more downforce in the front. We've just seen appear, so it's not going to be easy for Pecco, but he's got that cushion in the championship, and I think with the experience that he had last year to manage, you know, that kind of situation, a similar situation, he's going to be difficult to beat at the championship.
As it stands in this session, Bagnaia 13th, Martin 14th. Well, looks like a soft rear tyre in there for Jorge Martin now.
We're going to see his true pace now. Next 5 minutes, really important for Martin.
The thing is, Digi's been doing his times on the medium rear tyre.
He's done both, yes. He did with the soft and went first, and then kept the hard front and went to the medium rear, and then did it again two laps in a row in 29.8, which is really impressive considering the gaps. You know, being like two and a half tenths in front of P2 and being able to do it more than once as well. Very impressive.
So we've got 28 minutes to go. I'll be with you for the remainder of the session. Don't know if Omi's standing by, but if you want to leave Omi, you can do. No worries about it.
Hello.
Hello. Do you want to head off, or do you want to stick around? Because I'm going to be here for the rest of the session now.
I'll stay in the pit lane.
No worries at all. What are you making of it, actually, seeing more of MotoGP? What are you liking of it?
I'll be honest, I haven't been paying attention one bit.
Marini stays 11th across the board.
Yeah, now what I'm doing is, it's past 2, so I'm checking F1 esports stuff if they're even streaming it.
Is it streaming?
Now, I've seen a rumour now that it's apparently happening at 4, so I'll wait till 4, and if it's not there, then I've lost all hope, and they've screwed this over. Well, they've already screwed it over by not promoting it at all.
Yeah, because we haven't even had time to get our systems ready, because we were going to do watch-alongs, weren't we?
Yeah.
And can't do that now, because it's all gone wrong, so... all great news from F1 Esports. But what we're going to do is on JP Esports, we will have, we'll put them all together in a playlist, like we did with F1 Academy, so you can still watch them all here on the channel. As we're into the crucial stages now of this session. So Martin beginning his laps. I'd say another 10 minutes or so until we start seeing everybody head out there. So we'll head back to TNT.
To say that it was a tyre fault, and obviously Michelin are in control of that narrative, and they're not going to go and throw themselves as a company under the bus in a PR speak. So yeah, Jorge's just got to go out here this weekend and put it behind him.
This is going early, not just for Jorge Martin, but Marc Marquez, who is a 10th under, halfway round, soft front, soft rearing, and Marquez is going for it. He means business this weekend. He wants to end on a high, and it's just something about Marc Marquez. As we look for the second split now here for Jorge Martin, he's also underneath, just a little bit behind where Marquez is. But Marc Marquez, you just feel like the kitchen sink for himself is going to be at the win on Sunday.
I honestly don't know how he does it. When you look at the other Honda riders, I mean, Joan Mir is not riding, but you got Nakagami in P16. Alex Rins is in P18. He's had a crash though, Alex, and obviously he's coming back from injury. But wow, the difference that Marc is able to make, I mean,
that's almost the fastest ever lap. That is 500ths outside of the pole position record, the all-time lap record.
Not following anybody as well.
That's just amazing, absolutely amazing. And I tell you what, if it's only 5/100ths, then this man Jorge Martin, he's missed out on it just at the line. So Marc Marquez a 1:29.465. Jorge Martin a 1:29.594. So there was just the gaps between them coming through on the screens. But Marc Marquez is certainly trying to give a farewell to Honda. That was a sensational lap, wasn't it, Omi? Just brilliant from a champion.
And just guess what I've just found?
F1 Esports?
F1 Sim Racing Bahrain Grand Prix 2023 Round 1 qualifying.
Is it live?
But it's not live right now. I think it's going live at 4. So in about an hour and 20.
So we lost something.
It is going to be live streamed. However, embarrassing that there's been no promotion and no one's been allowed to put anything on Twitter about it. So.
Well, it's because it's LAN events now, isn't it? So they're worried about cyber attacks, which you can understand, but you've got to promote it at the same time, otherwise no one knows when it's on. So, coming through, Bagnaia with a 1:37.73. He stays in 14th. As things stand, he is currently having to go through Q1. The champion-elect as well, one of the other ones, Jorge Martin, he is second fastest, and he's just 81 thousandths down in that third sector. Now, we can just show you the timing screens in full for a little bit. We can't do them all the time because we get into trouble, but we can show you this amazing sector from Jorge Martin, who's red sector 1, red sector 2, yellow sector 3, and it's the fastest ever lap by 1,000! It is 1,000th of a second the difference between Jorge Martin and Marc Marquez. 1:29.464, 1:29.465. You can't get much closer. And I'll tell you what, Omi, it's bad for Bagnaia that he's our championship leader by 21 points. He's struggling out there again, but Vinales in the Aprilia, he's going faster. So the track should be improving, but Bagnaia isn't improving.
Yeah, and Bagnaia needs to improve as well. So let's see them. She's currently in the position that Porcher qualified in right now as well.
Earlier on in the day in F2, Bagnaia then across the line. He's 14,000th at the moment. Will he go any better than that? No. He does not improve on the time. He's 1.1 down on his own fastest time. Bagnaia really in trouble. Meantime, the man who's behind him goes top. 1:29.392 from Maverick Vinales. He was 15th, goes up into first position, pushes Bagnaia down now to 15th. Marc Marquez has got traction on there. He's got soft front, soft rear tyres on. So that Repsol Honda is generating more front end grip. It's breaking into the corners later. It's keeping the heat in its tyres, and he crosses the line now to go third. Improves time, not position, a 1:29.537. So actually it's slower than his own time. So Marc's not improving as much as you might expect out there. So, currently, the top 10 with 22 minutes to go. Maverick Vinales, Jorge Martin, Marc Marquez, Fabio Di Giannantonio, Alex Marquez, Brad Binder, Fabio Quartararo, Johan Zarco, Marco Bezzecchi, and Enea Bastianini is the top 10. They automatically qualify for Q2. Going through Q1 as things stand is Jack Miller, Franco Morbidelli, Luca Marini, Raul Fernandez, Pecco Bagnaia, championship leader, Augusto Fernandez, Takiki Nakagami, Aleix Espargaro, Alex Rins, but he crashed out earlier, Paul Espargaro, and Lorenzo Salvadori, who replaces Miguel Oliveira. And of course, we don't have Johan Mir in this session. He is waiting to be declared fit, but he'll have to go through Q1 anyway because he's down in 22nd position. New fastest ever lap time then for Maverick Vinales at this circuit at 1:29.392, and he was flying on that lap. We're in now a bit of a lull phase in this session. As you can see, nobody's setting any sector times. They're all coming back into the pit lane to change over setups for the big run with about 15 minutes to go. So we'll hand back to TNT.
Over the years. And if you can just get that right through there, that bit of slide to basically help you turn that corner, it can make a big difference.
That's what the riders do. They help it to close the turn. They help it to point the front end of the bike in the right direction, and that makes it faster. So the art of doing this is using just enough lean angle, using just enough throttle, so the bike is drifting a little bit, but without the traction control kicking in too much, without asking too much of it. So they are actually controlling this with the hand. It's not, they're not 100% throttle and just relying on the electronics there, because otherwise you get like exponential rear spin. So they are really being very gentle there. The inputs of the riders are very gentle and very controlled, and that helps them pointing that front end before braking for the last turn. It's like poetry, that corner. I love it.
Christian Gabarini talks to Pecco Bagnaia. Maverick Vinales just debriefing with his crew. Top of the timesheets. Still 20 minutes to go, and I feel like we've already had our first pre-qualifying laps.
They've gone early, haven't they? Yep. These were obviously proper time attack, and then we got Digi now.
Digi, of course, who went at the start of the session. Soft front, soft rear for him. You know, all these riders at the front, you know, you've got the 4 of them there. Alex Marquez is now also down into the 29s. They're just going to make life more difficult for Pecco Bagnaia.
That would be the perfect scenario for Jorge Martin. Qualifying well in front of most of these guys on the front row and having a lot of them in between himself and Pecco. You can lose a lot of time here in the first lap if you're not well positioned, and it's very hard to overtake as well.
Ask Valentino Rossi 2006 on pole position on the day. But if you look back at how aggressive Nicky Hayden was at the start of that race, and Valentino Rossi just caught in the middle, and then dropped the bike, and it was just a remarkable turnaround, and that's what you have to be careful of. And we saw it last year, Michael, didn't we, with Pecco Bagnaia, in that he rode a little bit tight, a little bit stiff.
It is one of those racetracks where you can get caught in the melee. Difficult to get into your flow. You can't make overtakes. It's obviously the front pressure, as we talk about a lot, can increase when you're stuck behind the bikes. The cooling isn't going onto the front tyre. I don't think it's going to be such an issue here because of the low ambient, and the racetrack is not as hard braking. So I think front tyre pressure and temperature won't be such an issue. But yeah, getting stuck in there, just interrupting your race rhythm. Got to be careful.
Fingers crossed it doesn't play a role in it this weekend. That's my hope, because we would hate for anything to be decided in an office. Even I was just having a look at this from Fabio Di Giannantonio. Even Frankie Carcetti was worried about his tyre pressure last time out in Qatar, as Di Giannantonio rounds the final corner now, powers to the line, and he goes into second. Vinales must have absolutely nailed that final corner.
Just noticing when the guys are changing on the Ducatis, changing direction at turn 12 to 13, only going up 1 gear, and then it looks like they're hanging in third, actually listening to Digi's on the limiter, so it's helping them turn rather. And sometimes you're riding through the torque, it can pull wide, use a lot more rear tyre, so yeah, the engines obviously can take that little bit of soft limiter up around there, but it sounds nice and looks good.
And they got the revs at the top as well, so yeah, normally it's a double short shift there.
Yeah.
Top 4 in MotoGP, covered by, well, top 5 now, covered by less than 1/10 of a second, down to Jack Miller, who's just come through in 5th place.
And it's so hard around a track like this to scratch for 1/10 of a second whenever you got 5 riders within a 10th.
And this is where we will see yellow flags right at the end, won't we, in this session? Because as they do that, Michael, as they try and chip... Oh, and we've seen a horrible one there.
Yeah, that's a nasty one down on the deck for Jack Miller. Is he okay? Yeah, he's getting up.
3 and 4.
Yeah.
Bit winded.
Well, that's a very strange crash for the Australian.
Let's see how he did it. Oh, it's a high side. My goodness me.
That's
Huge high side for Miller.
A lot of leaning there, and yeah,
Omi, look at that. It just snacks on him and then bang! Up on the deck. That's a huge high side. Huge one.
That absolutely is. But apparently I've just seen also on Twitter that there's some contracting issues that are happening as well. So there might even be another delay till 6 p.m. It's chaos. It might even get cancelled.
F1 Esports is getting insane at the moment, isn't it? So look forward to that.
I don't even know who's meant to be like lead commentator. 'Cause Alex probably won't. George is not there commentating on it.
It'll be Matt Gallagher.
Yeah.
That's going to be weird. They really have messed it all up, haven't they? So, Vinales with a 1:29.392. He's fast, but Miller up on having a huge accident. Yellow flag's finally out.
I don't even know. I don't even know if Alex Jakes will ever commentate it again, probably.
Well, he's still the F1 commentator, isn't he? So, maybe he's going to do it remotely. Maybe that's something that he's going to commentate it from Abu Dhabi.
Well, that would be cool. That would be cool, but I don't know. I saw it removed from his Twitter bio. He's been removed W Series from it. F1 Esports is gone. There's only F2 and F1 now.
Well, I haven't been called. Richie hasn't been called. You haven't been called. George hasn't been called. Well, there's not many left. So, yeah. All's fair in Formula 1. And MotoGP is getting really energetic. 15 minutes to go then. We're into the crucial runs to to see who will go through Q2 automatically and who has to go through Q1. This is going to be a crucial part of the session. You can see a few riders out there making some lap times. Vinales has changed to a hard front, medium rear. Digi's gone soft front, soft rear, just 5 thousandths of a second separating the two. The top 5 separated by 89 thousandths of a second, less than a tenth. It's going to be very energetic. Back to TNT until the action begins.
It's not, and I mean, the electronics are good on MotoGP bikes, but they don't do the work for you. The riders do. The riders do, and they have to control that power. They do a lot of control themselves. You know, with the rear brake, with the braking technique, with their throttle control.
Red flag! We've got a red flag! Red flag! Now, why is this? So the session has stopped, and that is crucial because it's with time to go. Look, Martin and Bagnaia are going out. They're going to have to stop and go back in. Miller's okay. Now, track conditions. Session red flag track condition. Now, is it barrier? What's going on there then? Very unusual to get a red flag in a practice session. This never, ever, ever happens. So what's...
Never.
This very, literally, in terms of how many times you can expect a red flag in MotoGP practice, I would say it's around about of every 5 races you'd get 1. It's a winglet on the track, and I bet that's come from Miller in the middle of the circuit, so they've got to recover that. So it's a red flag to the session, and we'll await a restart, but the clock stops at 14:22. It's not like in Formula 1 where it ticks down. We will still have the full time remaining. So, red flag, session stopped. We will get a restart. I will hand over to TNT until we can have more information.
After the red flag is brought out, just give everyone a chance to catch their breath. But again, it's going to be time that's lost, isn't it? Because you can't go out as soon as the green flag is waved. So that's going to lose another minute or 2, and it's a small lap here. You know, it gets messy out on the racetrack towards the end here. And as it stands, Jorge Martin is 3rd quickest. Pecco Bagnaia is down in 15th. We're going to get going very soon indeed. All the debris is being picked up as Jack Miller chats to Christian Pupolin and crew.
He's all right. Solid Jack is, because that was a big impact. Look at that.
It was a passenger, wasn't he? As soon as that rear broke traction.
Yeah,
did the right thing.
Right on the racing line as well. There you can see the sliders, the knee sliders marks on the floor. So that was the right thing. They needed to remove that.
A wry smile from Jack Miller. He chats to his data engineer. The feedback that he felt on the machine. But I'm sure we'll get going very soon indeed. In fact, we are already going again. Green flag being waved. Oh, we get a little bit of an update, but we're ready to go again. It's Fonsigneto. Is he parked further down pit lane there?
Look, the shots we've seen earlier, I thought he was on the service road somewhere, but it looks like he's down pit lane having a bit of an eye out for when teams are leaving.
Just want to make sure they haven't got company, don't they? So Jorge Martin, quick to get going. He's got a number of riders in front of him on track, including Bagnaia. Which way do you think it's going to go? 21 points is a smaller margin than last year, and 2 opportunities for Jorge Martin to chip away. If he does win on Saturday, as he has done 8 times this year in the sprint races, Jorge Martin, it will make it interesting. It's going to be damage limitation for Bagnaia in that instance. But
yeah, it doesn't take long. We're back to green.
What's the gap got to be then to make it really interesting, really worrying for Bagnaia, do you think, going into Sunday's race?
Well, if somehow Jorge manages to take the full 12, and well, Pecco has finished the sprint race and not scored points this year, but it's 9 points going into the race on Sunday. That gets exciting, and it's possible.
That's a win, and Bagnaia has to be on the podium then. And when you've got your Di Giannantonios in the mix, you've got your Marc Marquez wanting to prove a point at the end of the season, Brad Binder, who's going to be fast, Fabio Quartararo, if he can muster something up during qualifying, it suddenly looks that little bit tougher. I want to know what your opinions are on team orders and Ducati and the conversations that Gigi Dall'Igna and Paolo Ciabatti will be having down pit lane?
Well, the team orders, I think it's going to be pretty simple. It's basically the first thing is do not interfere and do not take any of those riders out or impede them in any way, the two championship contenders. And I think all the riders on the grid anyway would not want to do that. We've seen it with Marc Marquez in Qatar. Last lap, he could have attacked Jorge Martin. They were P10, P11.
By Johan Zarco at the time.
yeah, Johan was trying to make room for Jorge Martin basically, but Marquez didn't attack because what's the point? You know, you're not going to try and interfere with a championship contender to steal a point from him to finish P10, and that's the right thing. That's the kind of like unwritten rule that you would respect as a rider because you respect the title contenders. But then, yeah, the Ducati riders, do not get anywhere near the guys. Do not make them crash. And Enea Bastianini will definitely be told to favour Pecco Bagnaia. Johan Zarco will probably not be told anything, but he will try and work for Jorge Martin if he can. And the other guys, it's probably down to their preference. So we've got the VR46 boys, they're going to be rooting for Pecco.
Fabio Di Giannantonio, for example, you know, he's in there, could be in the mix. Alex Marquez is another one. What role do they play, do you think?
They'll do their own race, I think, then
yeah,
too.
and Fabio was very respectful of the championship race whenever he was thinking about it in Qatar, wanted it to make his pass clean, not risk anything with Pecco or with Jorge Martin, which obviously shows the mark of the man. So I think I agree with Silvan, they'll just run their own race and try not to interfere.
Marc Marquez on used soft tyres has just improved in third. Pecco Bagnaia, his first shot, and he goes 11th. Taka Nakagami goes ahead of him. It just shows how tight it's going to be.
Yeah, no one's really having big improvements. Martin's down into 5th position as well on that little run. Binder goes 3rd, 1:29.402. So the times are changing. Yellow flag sector 1. I thought I saw that Marshall Point turn yellow. So someone's off at the first 2 corners. It's Luca Marini. He was crashed at turn 1. That's going to spoil everybody else's. Oh, there's 2 down. There's 2 down. Marini's gone down. I thought there was 2. Yeah, so who else? So Luca Marini's into the barrier, and it's Ralph Fernandez. They've come together. And Bagnaia is being very heavily chased by Jorge Martin, and Martin is finding time. He is at 2/10 up. Bagnaia is 2/10 down, so they can't find the pace. The 2 championship protagonists are battling out on the track, coming in to turns 11 and 12 now. Martin trying to go around the outside. Bagnaia shuts the door. Bagnaia's half a second down on his own best time. He's staying so far in 13th. But Martin is estimated up to P1, and Martin's going to go round the outside into the last corner. They're giving it a proper race here into turn 14. Late on the brakes, yellow flag's been retrieved. Now it's a drag race towards the line. Bagnaia shuts the door and comes into the pit lane. So does Jorge Martin. Bagnaia knew that wasn't the lap. Martin actually should have carried on because he would have got provisional top spot for Q2. So that's a bit foolish here, but I think, Omi, some psychological mind games being played by Jorge Martin already. Don't think he's there, but still, that's fantastic stuff. Back to TNT.
Doesn't go through, it means massive risk in Q1.
Interestingly, Enea Bastianini is through as it stands. He's currently in 8th place. Fontignetti.
Just to explain to Hanif, who says about timing, this is the timing page, and that is all that's missing. The sector times, which we're not allowed to show completely all the time. So if there's really something interesting going on, we'll show it, but right now there's nothing going on the circuit, so we stay with the mini screen which goes up to the tyres, which gives you all the basic information that we need, plus the blog. We're literally following the rules that Dorna give us after a couple of issues early on in the year, so that's okay.
Here in practice, and Martin, they sat there waiting to go here, and they're putting the tyre warmers back on the bike, are they? Feels like a bit of a cat and mouse game is being played. I don't know who in between, though.
He's obviously another new soft in the rear, wondering when to go, keeping an eye on pit lane.
Is he following Pecco? Is that what he's doing?
Looks like they're waiting for him, yeah.
Do you think he's trying to do the Marc Marquez?
Try and gain his head.
And trying to, exactly, ruffle him in some way. I could see when Fontinetto came in, It was the point to the eye of just watch me, or just watch how this is going.
Well, Martin is in a great position here. He's inside the top 10 quite comfortably, and he's sitting in P5. Pecco is in trouble. He's got to go out and do the lap. He's P13. He cannot mess about. He's got to do it. So, yeah, it looks like Martin is trying to gain his head. Yeah.
Off, back on again.
I don't like this. I don't like it, just because it's Valencia.
Yeah.
In the end of November, and they're putting tyre warmers back on the bike while it's sat there in pit lane, ready to go. It makes me nervous about turn 4, Sylvain.
Yeah, it's always nervous, turn 4, Gav. It's always a nervy moment when you release the brake into turn 4. Track temperature, though, it's not bad, actually. We were worried that it's going to be super cold here.
It'll be dropping, though, won't it? Because that sun is getting lower and lower in the sky.
We're getting our time about now, but there's not much wind. The sun is out, and it's quite strong, actually, in the sun. So we got about 30 degrees track temperature.
Michael, do they play dirty here? Does Jorge go out ahead of Bagnaia and mess him up on his lap?
We're going to find out
I think
now.
we'll see now. Yeah. Once the warmers are off, I think the Pramac boys will be straight out behind Pecco.
Shadowing him, and that's
Yeah,
and
indeed.
Bastianini looks like he's being sent out as a kind of tail end Charlie, is it? No, as Pecco Bagnaia looks over his shoulder at Jorge Martin, and he's tapping the back of his bike.
My
Full
God.
Morbidelli treatment for Jorge
wow.
Martin. I'm loving it with 6 minutes to go in practice here in Valencia.
This is proper handbags at dawn. This is brilliant. This is proper. Oh, and Martin nearly runs into the back of Bagnaia coming out of the pit lane. Bagnaia brake tested him, and Martin nearly went right over the back of him. My goodness me. This is psychological warfare before we even get into racing tomorrow in the sprint and the Grand Prix Sunday. This is a crucial session in terms of the World Championship. This is practice. This decides if you're running in Q1 or Q2. Martin's P5, Bagnaia's 13th on the grid. It stands to reason that Martin wants Bagnaia down. And Alex Marquez has been put in between them. Marco Bezecchi's going out. It is Ducati Civil War here in Spain, and we are living for this.
Trying to get through on Alex Marquez. This Davide Tarnozzi was stood in front of him as well. Wait a second, is
He was
this
smiling as
Moto3
well.
in Aragon from last year? Was it with the Max Racing team?
It looked like he was smiling, as in like he's standing in there, and he's like, "I know what you're doing," and Martin is like,
What's
"Well, I'm
this?
doing it anyway."
This is the brake check.
that was very close, braking super hard there, and Martin
Wow.
is going to get.
Yeah, actually avoided it
Yeah,
well,
it
but
was-
They look closer than that.
Pecco hard on the brakes down into turn 1.
Psychological. Davide Tarnozzi loving
You
it.
love to see it. You love to see it.
Mind
Italians
games.
playing with each other. Hey, there's one thing for sure. I've been told by a number of people that it's already decided that. And Jorge Martin is following Bagnaia.
He's followed
off
Bagnaia on the
the
escape game road.
This
Remarkable.
is cat and mouse.
This is brilliant, though, isn't it? This just builds the spice. Chucks a little.
Yeah, because what happened was Bagnaia went straight on at turn 10, and Martin saw it and followed him on down the escape road. They are now together as we cross the line. The four Ducatis are running together. Now we've got Fabio Quartararo ahead of it. Bagnaia followed by Martin, right together on the circuit. Bagnaia is going to be feeling the pressure from behind him. Martin is coming into this lap, but there's a yellow flag in the second sector. Right, that's going to spoil this lap. So it's a down at turn 4 and 5. Who is it? We're into turn 4 now. So there's a yellow flag, and Bagnaia and Martin go through it, so they'll lose. Oh, it's come in. Oh, okay. Now, do they lose the lap? It is, again, is it Brad Binder? No, it's Jack Miller for a second time. Jack Miller for the second time in this session goes down, and the second time he's on that bike as well. So both bikes destroyed for Jack Attack. Bagnaia shuts the door. Miller lifts up. He's 6/10 back. Bagnaia's a second back, so they're going to go again for another run. That yellow flag has cost them with Jorge Martin. This is brilliant. Look at that. First sector, though, for Brad Binder was a 20.002. Then he had to back out of it. Bagnaia was a 20.5, Martin a 20.3. So already in that first sector, if we're going off that, Martin is 0.2 of a second faster. Lap time cancel for the 42 as well for Alex Rins for ignoring for double yellow flag, and the same goes to the 23. So lap times are getting deleted. This is one of the best endings I think I've seen to a practice session in my life. Championship protagonists battling out. Matthew Vinales is up as well by half a literal half tenth, 0.047, so 47 thousandths is fastest. Now the real games begin. Bagnaia sliding into turn 3. Remember, it's 3 rights at 1, 2, 3, then a left at turn 4, but you haven't turned left for around about 30 seconds, so you've got to be worried about the tyres coming into turn 4. We saw that with Marc Marquez a couple of years ago. Do you remember when he fell over in 2019, battling with Dovizioso, or maybe it's 2017 actually, broke his, dislocated his shoulder, then just hooked back against the barrier, popped his shoulder back in. Maverick Vinales, though, a tenth and a half up on his own best time as he comes towards line. 2 minutes to go. Martin is up by 0.2 of a second, and they have matched in the middle sector to the point where Bagnaia is down by 0.256 and Martin is up by 0.256 of a second. It's incredible. Vinales does a 1:29.142. He's gone fastest in the session with another lap left to run. So will these two in the front. We've also got Quadraro's in P9, by the way. Bastianini's P10. But Bagnaia, who's 15th, estimated 13th only, and Martin's going to go on the inside line of the last corner. Martin's going to try and spoil Bagnaia's lap time. This is what it's all about, spoiling the lap time of your party member. Across the line we go. Bagnaia only goes into 14th. Martin goes second. War games are being played out here in Spain between the two Italians at the top on the Ducatis for the World Championship. Bagnaia versus Martin. We've got Quadraro running wide. We've got Martin nearly running up the back of Bagnaia. Coming into turn 3. Yellow flag at turn 4 again. Oh, got a huge accident. Huge accident. Someone's off big time. Down at 3. Is it Bagnaia or is it the Gas? It's the Gas. It's Polo Spargro. Polo Spargro has gone down on the entry to turn 3. The front wheel buckles and he goes down. And usually see a crash at 3. Usually it's at 4, as I said, when you turn it back. But that spoils their lap times. And crucially, Pecco Bagnaia will have to go through qualifying 1 for tomorrow's Valencia Grand Prix sprint and feature. Wow. Martin second. Well, at the end of the first day of games, it is Martin 15 love. Fantastic. This brilliant game of tennis between the two. And Martin now goes right round the outside of Bagnaia as the yellow flag and the checkered flag comes out to end the session. An amazing end to practice here on a Friday in 2023. The crucial session that decides the running order for Q1 and Q2 ends Martin second, Bagnaia 15th. Wow. 15 love to Martin. What will happen in qualifying tomorrow? Can it make it 15 all going in for Bagnaia for a Q2 appearance? Then it's 30 love going in whoever tops Q2. And then it's match point going in whoever's ahead of the sprint. And then in Grand Prix, who takes victory? Royale. Can't wait. This is amazing. This is going to be insane. Literally insane. Can't wait. Bring it on.
What happened?
Well, Martin and Miller. Sorry, Miller crashed. Martin and Bagnaia, literally, everything Bagnaia did, Martin followed him, and he blocked him. Martin now 15th, he has to go through Q1. Sorry, Bagnaia 15th, he has to go through Q1. Martin P2. So Bagnaia's massively screwed over. I guess Martin on the practice start. First time they've been apart for the last 20 minutes. Let's go back to TNT. What a session.
6 points, and then Bagnaia has his crash. Indonesia. Jorge Martin's leading overnight on the Saturday, and then by Sunday, he's lost it again. India, another one where, you know, it turns around on the night. Qatar, Jorge Martin on top, and last time. It's nothing decided at this stage, but...
Look at Davide there.
Oh, you've got to love it, haven't you? You've got to love this. It's factory against
You're going to see the top of the seat. Yeah, there you go.
He must have known it was coming, though.
Yeah. Well, they knew what game Jorge Martin and his crew were playing. So yeah, this is nice to see though that they could keep the smile on and make a bit of a joke. But joking apart, this is a really bad session for Pecco Bagnaia. He needs to be close to Martin. He needs to be on that grid next to him. And I mean, not impossible. He can still go through Q1, but this is another big risk for Pecco Bagnaia to have to go through that session.
There'll be a few wry smiles as well, and I think there probably was inside Pecco Bagnaia's helmet there. Look, it's not the end of the world for Bagnaia. He will get to go through Q1, and he'll be a favourite to go through Q1. Enea Bastianini's in it, so there's one place that won't be going through Q1, but it's also then another place that perhaps can't help him out if they have to start down in 13th and below. But you can imagine Enea Bastianini not having the fastest Q1 session tomorrow.
Although, where was it? Malaysia?
Yeah,
he put it through.
I know, but it's a different point of the championship now. What's your feeling on all this, on team orders? When it comes down to this final round, it's to be expected, isn't it?
It's hard for Ducati to ask Enea to help out in Q1 because the rider's still got to go and do his time. How does he judge how fast to go to get through without having...
It is a hard one, but at that point, if you were the team manager, you would...
him.
Yeah, you would just...
Oh, there's a problem with your
It
bike.
doesn't matter. Yeah,
It just doesn't seem to switch on. It's weird. It's got no wheels in it. You're never going to say a hard time with that.
Sorry, wrong turn. Just standing with the hard rear.
Oh, sorry, we thought the yellow was a white, and
It's a tough call, but you'd have to. This is it's too important for Pecco to go through. If Pecco finds himself on the grid, not in the top 10, not in the first 3 rows, he's going to lose so much time in the first lap, in the first few corners, and then he'll be stuck behind people. It's going to take him ages, even if he's got the race pace of the front of the leaders. So it's not a risk they can take.
new all-time lap record from Maverick Vinales with a 129.142, 10th clear of the field. And look, we've seen it. Maverick can have this pace in practice. He needs to reproduce it in the race and needs to get a good start.
He does, but he's looking good. Not just one flying lap, he's done a number of them there in practice, so he's looking good, and I think this is the type of track that can suit Maverick. He needs to start, as you mentioned, he needs to qualify on tomorrow, but he's got the pace so far to do that.
Here's the results then from this session. Maverick Vinales is top from Jorge Martin second, Johan Zarco is third, Fabio Di Giannantonio fourth, Marco Bezzecchi fifth, Brad Binder is sixth, Marc Marquez seventh, Ralph Fernandez eighth, Jack Miller ninth, and Alessio Spargo completes the top 10. That's the top 10 going through to Q2. After that, going through Q1, Enea Bastianini, Alex Marquez, Fabio Quartararo, Franco Morbidelli, Francesco Bagnaia, Pecco goes 15th, then it's Nakagami, Luca Marini, Augusto Fernandez, Alex Rins, Lorenzo Salvador, then it's Paulo Spargo and Johan Mir not taking part in this session. Obi, your thoughts going into tomorrow? Who do you think come on top, Bagnaia or Martin?
Can the championship be won tomorrow?
Yes, it can, if Bagnaia gets more than 4 points in the sprint race.
Oh, so is it likely then?
Well, no, until qualifying.
Okay. Well, if he needs only 4 points, then I'm going to say yes. But I might be completely wrong.
We'll see. Thanks, everybody, for sticking around. Means a lot. You can go and have some rest now. Well done today. Well done to everybody, and thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for all the coverage, practice 2 and qualifying live before the Tissot Sprint gets us going. Thanks for your company today. Take care. Well, what a day. Match point is just a little bit away, but certainly 15 love to Jorge Martin. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.